If you ask car buyers why they decided against buying an electric car when purchasing their combustion engine vehicle, they often will say high acquisition costs. The prices, it was just too high for me. However, that is changing. In fact, that has changed. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. Great to have you with us. The DAT Report market study done in Germany by the German Automobile Trust found that the high acquisition cost of electric cars was the number one reason people in Europe weren't buying them. But the reality in the market now has completely changed, says the media in Germany. The two drive systems, electric cars and internal combustion, are increasingly reaching price parity on the used car market. In Euro terms, used combustion engines and used electric cars are now at a similar level, says Martin Weiss, head of DAT vehicle valuation. High loss of value for used electric cars has led to a market situation that is enormously beneficial if you want to buy a used car. The reason for the depreciation with EVs is the different value development. Although today's used electric cars cost significantly more when new than comparable combustion engines in Germany, they subsequently lost considerably more value. According to DAT, used combustion engines achieved an average of 62.6% of their new list price in March after 3 years, while used electric cars achieved around 50%. One of the reasons for this is that electric cars have improved enormously. Internal combustion engine cars, there is barely any difference from buying one 3 years ago to buying one today. For example, let's say you went and bought a BMW 3 Series today. It's almost the same as a BMW 3 Series from 3 years ago. But when it comes to electric cars, that is not the case. Charging speed in some cases has doubled or even more than doubled. Energy density in batteries has improved. Therefore, range has continued to go up. And not to mention, there's also other factors like the software massively improving in EVs as well. Used Opel Corsa petrol and electric cars are, well, about the same price. What this means in practice is shown by research in the industry where dealers have access to the government's concrete residual value calculations, which are based on real transaction prices. According to the report, a 3-year-old Opel Corsa electric with a list price of around 31,000 euros currently gets around 16,000 euros. A comparable petrol-powered Corsa model with a list price of only 21,800, on the other hand, gets around 15,000 euros. Now, DAT does not make any comparative statements for individual models, but we can see exactly what's happened here. And this means the Volkswagen ID3 is now cheaper than a Volkswagen Golf. The used car exchange mobile.de observes that prices are converging in the asking prices on their platform. For example, the Skoda Enyaq, aged 25 to 36 months, costs an average 34,000 euros. The comparable combustion engine Kodiaq is available for 35,000 euros. Basically the same price. The BMW iX3 in the same age group is available for 44,000 euros, while the combustion engine X3 is 42,500, pretty much the same price, once again. The Volkswagen ID3 at 24,000 euros is considerably cheaper than the Volkswagen Golf, which averages 27,680. The Peugeot 208, on the other hand, is noticeably more expensive at 19,650 for the electric version than the combustion version at 16,740. As you can see, there are anomalies, but in general, electric cars and internal combustion in the used market are about the same price. We expect the price of electric vehicles and combustion engines to continue to converge in the long term, says Julia Reithmuller, sales director at mobile.de. This will mean more and more people buying electric cars. There are some disadvantages to use electric cars, though. A rush on used electric cars is not to be expected, claims mobile.de. They say that while approximate price parity eliminates one disadvantage of used electric cars, the purchase price is only one of several arguments used against EVs by people who don't like them. The switch to electric cars represents a mindset shift, a paradigm shift, but many people fear that they won't have the charging ability nearby them. And that's partly a perception, partly the fact is that it enables a mindset change. People in China obviously have been mostly willing to take on this mindset change, whereas people in Europe can be a little bit more traditional and stuck in their ways. Now, the thing to keep in mind here is that electric cars, their operating costs are much, much, much lower. The price to run an EV is in many cases up to 90% cheaper than an internal combustion engine vehicle. And I think as more consumers recognize that and they become aware of the fact that EVs and internal combustion are hitting price parity, things are going to rapidly change. The turning point could come very soon if the argument of the lack of cost advantages disappears from 2027. Starting the year after next, new rules on CO2 pricing will come into effect in Europe. The ADAC is warning of a sharp increase in fuel prices across Europe and across many countries around the world. Many consumers haven't realized this yet, said Weiss. As soon as electric cars become significantly cheaper to maintain the combustion engines, which they are now, the convenience disadvantages will be more likely to be accepted. Now, experts are saying this. They say in the long term, the value of electric cars will increase due to advancing technologies and increasing acceptance, whereas the value of internal combustion engine vehicles will plummet like they have in Norway, where no one wants them anymore. Literally 98% of the cars sold last month in Norway were fully electric. What that means is demand for internal combustion will go down, therefore the resale value will go down, and people will very quickly stop buying them. Do you guys agree with this research? What are your thoughts? Let me know what you think in the comments. The Audi group has reported their profit for Q3 and it has crashed by 91%. 91%. This is one of the worst quarters in the history of the Audi Motor Company. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. Sam Evans. Great to have you with us. You're watching the Electric Viking. I just want to say a big thank you to all of you who've subscribed to the channel. Hoping to hit 250,000 subscribers this year. So every one of you, really appreciate your support. And the main purpose for this channel is to support renewable energy, to support electrification. Even if I say something critical about a particular battery chemistry or a particular electric car, I have to do that. They've got to be objective. So even though you might feel personally offended because I said, for example, the BYD Blade battery is no longer state of the art, it's good, but it's just this alternatives that are much better now. That doesn't mean that I'm against BYD's batteries or BYD or electrification as a whole. It just means I'm trying to report as objectively as I can. Speaking of objectivity, Audi is it's in trouble here. The Audi group has experienced a